All right, welcome into the Noll Road. A Steelers trade target is an odds-on favorite to be traded somewhere before the deadline. We're going to get to that shortly. Latest news on all the wide receivers available with the deadline now than less than a month away. Browns did make another trade ahead of the Week 6 matchup. How will that impact the game? We have Aaron Rodgers on why the Steelers aren't throwing it farther down the field, plus a Jaylen Ramsey injury update. Man, we got all the Steelers news. Here we go.
To the corner of the end zone. Oh, for a touchdown!
Yeah, buddy, welcome in. I'm Gavin Dawson, 25-year sports radio vet. And with me, as always, New Bear Lesniewski. Buddy, how the heck are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm pretty excited because there's I don't know, 3, 4, 5 guys beyond the 3, 4, 5 guys that maybe made you click into here. And oh, by the way, we might just get hashtag Roman Wilson season.
Yes, it's going to be Roman Wilson season, but it's also going to be one of the biggest trade seasons I've seen. It was Schefter saying
it already
this
is.
week. Yes, it is. I mean, the trades are popping off. It's so good now that trades have joined the NFL world. You know, we got them in all the other sports for the longest time. The NFL trade deadline was a dud. A lot of fans didn't even know when it was because nothing ever happened, but now it does. Okay, so if you want to see the Steelers make a trade, hit the like button. If you think New Bear looks great in Steelers gold, I love that shirt, man. Hit that like button. Maybe consider subscribing. Got a lot of people watching, not subscribing, and man, that's just the biggest way you could give back to us if you're so inclined. The Noll Road is brought to you by our friends at Bet Online, up to $250 in free bets. Look at this. Steelers minus 5.5 at Acrisure. That's a big number to be playing against a good defense in a divisional game.
But the defense that's the only thing, right? Like, you're not believing in Dylan Gabriel. I mean, maybe Quinshon Judge, but
yeah,
maybe they get a pick 6 and take one the other way. And oh, by the way, maybe it's just fugly.
Maybe it's just fugly. What's that? The game?
They should be. They should win this game going away. But what I'm saying is,
so yeah,
we know our head guy likes rock fights. Just because Aaron Rodgers is there doesn't mean he doesn't want to throw rocks. And we're not always skipping him across the pond. It doesn't always feel like summer vacation.
Man, I just hope we can trust that this offense is good to go and they got things figured out and they're going to be able to go smash the Browns. But I've seen some bad defense this year, and I've seen some so-so offense. So I hope they win it going away. But for now, I'm going to hold off. We'll see as the game gets closer who's all playing. I just know for a fact the best place to get down is Bet Online because they have the fastest payouts guaranteed and unmatched game integrity. Let's do this, brother. Let's jump into the content here. And I guess the most solidified thing we have is this is from Filipponi's Twitter, that the Steelers reached out to the Saints during the bye week to take their temp on Rashid Shaheed. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year, big play wide receiver and return man. Trades are being made in the NFL left and right. And when we talked about the trade market last week, I thought Shaheed was a likely target. In between him and Leggett was my most likelies, just because I do feel like the Steelers are trying to preserve their ability to build for the future. It's not what I would do. I'd put the first in play. I'd try to go get Garrett Wilson. I would try to absolutely make it rain a badass passing game, but I don't think the Steelers want to. So I think Shaheed.
Can we just be real about that for a second? Can we? You said that the Jets would demand 2 1s for Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
and we agree he's worth a 1.
Yeah, and maybe plus something,
and maybe Muth or maybe something, a 2 or a 3, right?
Roman.
So maybe Aaron Glenn could get Roman Wilson season going in New York. So why are we not seriously entertaining this? I can't wait to go through all these guys. What I'm saying is, who's your guy? Anybody in the comments, tell me who you want and what you would give up to go get them, because we're going to talk about a few of these guys. Even just the thumbnail that maybe you clicked on to get here, the picture that you see when you go the Noll Road, and it's like, oh, cool, take your pick. Which one?
Yeah.
Who else? Who else do you want? Tell us, because we'll break them down. I want to break people off about Garrett Wilson because of the humble superstar ability of that kid. And there is almost nothing I would not give up to bring him in.
He was fantastic. He should have had a couple of big catches against the Cowboys in week 5. Justin Fields just didn't see him or didn't want to throw it to him. But, I mean, the Cowboys couldn't contain him. They can't contain many. On Shaheed, this is a guy that can go get the deep ball. He's incredibly fast. Yeah. He's going to help you return game. Him on one side with Austin on the other and DK in the slot, like that's given me dreams. Now it's all going to be predicated on having a balanced offense. We need to get the pressure off the passing game with a better run game, and hopefully that consistency starts showing up. And if it does against Cleveland, I'll be celebrating on Sunday afternoon. But I think with Shaheed, I would like that, and I don't think you would have to give up much because he's probably a wide receiver 3 on a lot of really good stabs.
And he had the knee injury last year. He had the last couple of years, he's had like nagging stuff, but last year they shut him down with a meniscus, and he's one of those 4-3 whatever guys who can just go get it. And opposite an Olave or in a hospital ball Derek Carr world, he went like 17 plus, 15 plus, 17 plus. I think his career average is 16 per. So he was one of those dudes who, like, he might not catch a ball for 3 weeks, but the week he catches balls, it's like 3 for $100 and 2, and you win your fantasy league.
So I bet a lot of folks in the comments would be like underwhelmed by Shaheed. It would help, but it's not something that's really moving the needle or changing your dynamics that much. His teammate would, though. And this might be the guy that I actually want to see them go get, because I think it would strike a perfect compromise between spending too much draft capital, preserving your draft capital. If you got to give up a 1+ for Garrett Wilson, I don't think you need to with Olave because of his injury history. 51 targets with 0 drops is this post right here. And then there's another one that I think is an even better stat. Like, this is for the folks in the comments, right, that don't think he can play. More first read targets than every other player in the NFL other than Puka Nacua, which tells me we're drawing plays up for him, and dude's just getting open again and again and again. 44 of his 51 targets are first read targets, dude. That's awesome.
Well, the best part about this particular number is he's only got 1 touchdown. So he's the only player in the top 10 to be this legit who's only got 1 tutty. What does that tell you? Aaron Rodgers could unlock this dude.
Yeah. And I'm not the biggest critic of Spencer Rattler, dude. I think that guy can play a little bit.
Not at all. Not at all. Caleb Williams ruined that dude's life at Oklahoma. And, people forget Spencer Rattler was the preseason Heisman favorite. And all of a sudden he was.
I think he might be a late bloomer, dude.
Yeah. And he's in the best shape of his life. There is some young, like, junior magic sprinkles version of Dak Prescott on Spencer Rattler. And as much as there are stands, and I'm talking about going all the way back to high school and coming up through the Oklahoma ranks, and there are haters that you will never win over. And then all of a sudden you show up and you don't even look like you're wearing a rib protector. That's how fit you are. Spencer Rattler worked his ass off this offseason. And the number, if you watch the Saints play, they are a tough ass out.
Yeah, they are. And I bet, people are going to be jumping in again, the comments, and we love it. Give us your honest opinion on stuff. It's 6 touchdowns and 1 INT with a 57 QBR.
And he's running too. He's running like on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. It's kind of
serviceable.
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to mention one thing on Shaheed just to kind of pay off what I was talking about in the intro. Polymarket is the betting handicapping site, and they have odds are that Shaheed is going to be traded before the deadline, and they have the hashtag Steelers and hashtag 49ers. Both teams could use him, and I don't know what the plans are in the return game right now.
So my favorite thing about all these things is, like, a guy will come out and they'll say, here's the 2, here's the 4 teams. And I wonder, and I worry a little bit, if I'm being super honest, if particularly with the speed guys, with Achane, with Shaheed, anybody who can really go, is Kansas City just going to beat you to the punch? Because what you don't want to have is a Super Bowl level team give up a 7 or a next year 6, or even a little bit of, something that sticks to your ribs that like you are reluctant to part with or pay for, and then they go just get another ring, hang another banner. Like, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be so many players available. The Chiefs can add a couple and there will still be enough players to go around. And I like it. It's a little bit more of an arms race. And I think it's a great opportunity for the best teams to get just a little bit better. And I also think it's a warning for maybe teams like the Steelers that may still have people roaming the halls thinking all you have to do is get into the playoffs. We're in the tournament. We got a shot. It's 2008. No, that doesn't happen anymore. You got to build a really damn good team or have the best quarterback on the planet if you want to walk that.
I mean, think about like Florida Gulf Coast, or who's your favorite Cinderella in March Madness? Those dudes could go. They hit their head on the rim. They get their elbows stuck in the rim. You need dudes who are better than the other dudes. And Shaheed, for all of the lack of productivity, when he does produce, he more than comes through.
Up next here on the Noll Road. Okay, I got to get to this quick because I went to SteelerNation.com. So if I start buffering, just bear with me. But there's a lot of talk in Miami. I think Miami, Cleveland, Tennessee, Jets are maybe the 4 most active trade rumor teams going right now. And here's an excerpt they pulled. League execs are wondering which struggling teams could enter fire sale mode. This is from Jeremy Fowler. Oh, here it comes. In the AFC East, the Jets would have several attractive trade possibilities on the defensive side of the ball, as would the Dolphins on offense. It would not surprise me if teams start to call on Jaylen Waddle if the Dolphins continue to struggle, though I doubt Miami would entertain that at this point, especially with Tyreek Hill out for the season. You might have to wait a couple of weeks on this. Listen, I don't buy that they will not entertain it, because Miami is in such bad shape. Like watching Carolina come back against them, which I've done several times this week, getting ready for Panthers and Cowboys. That Miami defense is freaking atrocious. They should give you no reason to believe that on offense, if you keep these guys together, they're going to be able to consistently score points. Like Tua has become significantly worse. I thought at one point Miami had enough around him and Tua was playing well enough that they were winning a lot of games as long as Tua started. Like the Mike McDaniel thing was going well, but now they've deteriorated so much. I think they got to be in fire sale. Let's pile up on draft picks, totally reset this, develop for a couple of years. And I mean, Waddle might be the guy. Right? Between Olave, Wilson, and Waddle, I think you're talking about 3 premium guys that could lead you in catches and yards on a regular basis, even with DK Metcalf out there.
So I'm going to say this, and come get me if you want to. I will take every dollar. I will take every dead cap. I will take every void year. I would trade for Jaylen Waddle. I would immediately extend him. And I would say Aaron Rodgers encore, or Will Howard, or whoever we go get, Mason Rudolph, if you can stomach staying, because there's rumors that he's getting a little bit frustrated while Joe Flacco keeps getting other opportunities and other guys are just going to keep getting starting nods when Mason Rudolph's the best backup quarterback in the whole damn league. Jaylen Waddle is worth every penny that you would have to pay for him and that it would cost to play with him alongside DK, because depending on who you look at, the contract extension that he signed was like 3 for 85, 84.75. So 3 for 85 puts him in a place where, depending on how you look at it, next year costs you 1.2 up to 11 in cap hit. And then the following year is like 33. And then, and that's like, I think, Spotrac versus Over the Cap, where they're talking about the cap hit going from 47 to 39 to 16 to 9 to 2. And the thing people forget is that Jaylen Waddle is in his age 27 season. So that's why I'm saying I don't care what it is. I don't care what website you like. I don't care what you have to pay him now, next year or in the next 3, he is still on the right side of 30, and he is going to continue to be while he wins alongside.
We back? You got me?
Yeah, here we are.
Cool. I was just talking about how Jaylen Waddle's contract is so amazing because the base salary is only 1.2 next year. It jumps to $23 million in 2027, but there's an out going into the final year of the contract. And, as we've talked about, I think it was Albert Breer this week who was talking about, hey, the Steelers wanted to bring in Aaron Rodgers to raise their ceiling and what they had at quarterback and to maybe get this championship window open. When he's gone, a total rebuild or a lot of churning of the roster is, very likely. I think you got to lean into that. I think, the play would be, let's go get a guy like Jaylen Waddle. Let's have him this year, $1.1 million base salary, next year, 1.2, and then trade him. He'll only be 29 years old. So moving in and out of players, depending on where your championship window is, who your quarterback is, how the rest of your roster is, you can give up resources now with the draft, go for a Super Bowl, and then trade them. And I think like riding that yo-yo is more important than ever, just because what we talked about 3 minutes ago, that when you're close, you really have to look at your weaknesses and try to find good to great players to address them, because the rest of the league is.
Sorry, I thought you were literally just saying fire sale next year for the Steelers. The reason I was shaking my head, if you're watching versus just listening, is that his number is low for the next couple of years, but then it's low enough for the next 3, 4, 5. Like, unless he comes in here, which is probably almost never going to happen, especially if Artie Smith is the dude and you've got 2 basically alpha 2s. No one is going to come in here and go for 1,519 touchdowns where you got to reset the wide receiver market and they can look you in the face and say, dead ass, I have the data to prove I'm better than Jamar Chase and company. So if you go get a 1,000-yard receiver in his mid-20s who costs you next to nothing to acquire, next to nothing against the cap, and then, oh, by the way, when he starts being a little bit of the pain in the ass, if you do have to rebuild, is still young enough and affordable enough, because remember, his highest number is still lower and is going to continue to be lower than not only DK Metcalf, who everyone understands is like on the Mount Rushmore, but not really, then all these other dudes who are going to keep coming and keep getting paid and keep going over the top of them. It ain't just quarterbacks who reset the market. It's position by position by position. Waddle is a dude who is locked in. You should ride that wave and do everything in your power to give whoever is under center or in the gun for your team. You want an Aaron Rodgers encore? Make his life easy.
No, that's a great point. You bring in Waddle, Aaron Rodgers be a lot more interested. He's a perfect Aaron Rodgers receiver. And yeah, I think in 2028, when his contract is in the final year at $25 million, that'll probably be half of the market top. I mean, wide receivers going to $40 million a year next March for sure. Okay. What else do we have here? Obviously, the Jacoby Meyers thing is going really well for the Raiders. They like him. His salary is low. He's producing. They don't have a lot of wide receivers. He wants out, but they're not winning. So I don't know if the Raiders could have a change of heart or they could be talked into it, but that's a phone call I would make every day. Like, are you ready to trade Jacoby yet? Are you ready to trade Jacoby yet? He wants out. Maybe he'll get so ticked you could sign him in the off season, but that's something I don't want to give up on.
Look, I know you're all about mystery and you don't like to give everything away in the upfront. We get into this place where we get on a run and we start arguing, going back and forth, and it's just 2 guys talking ball, and that's why the good people come to listen to us, right? Yeah. I force-fed Jacoby Meyers to the forefront of this conversation because everything you just said is true. And what is he not doing? What is he not going to do?
Not talking? Being a pro?
Bitch, moan, complain. You want to talk about Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver 2? You want to – it ain't A.J. Brown wearing pink cleats and a pink Kobe wristband and a pink mouthpiece, taking his QB1 coming off a Super Bowl MVP and raking his ass over the coal. So you want a wide receiver too. You don't want it to cost that much, and you want it out where it might not cost anything going forward. Jacoby Meyers going to be tough to outdo.
He would be, man. I mean, he checks all the boxes to me, and I think he's a clear second wide receiver, which I think is important, because having 2 1s can be difficult to fully exploit. Maybe that's a good segue into our next topic here. We got Calvin Ridley stuff if you want to do that as well. But Aaron Rodgers on why the Steelers aren't taking shots down the field. Teams are playing cover 2. There's not going to be a ton of big shots down the field until we get them in one high safety looks. It's going to be precision passing and short of the sticks. If you're playing cover 2, there's not going to be a lot of shots down the boundary. So we're just trying to be efficient. I mean, in a lot of these games, it's looked like checkmate until the fourth quarter, bro. I don't like this. I think the biggest problem here is not that they're in cover 2. It's that Arthur Smith is your offensive coordinator, and they don't have wide receivers that can win quicker. That's your big issue. Teams have been playing cover 2. There's cover 2 beaters. You need an architect, and you need guys that can run routes.
I mean, Ridley coming out was a 4-4 guy. He was a 1-5 split guy. It was weird because he would go dunk on dudes and then he only jumped 30 inches, or he would go dunk on dudes and then he only hopped 9 feet. He's not a testing guy. He's a on-field guy. And when he was running with Julio Jones and Julio Jones went down or got old fast or Father Time is undefeated, Calvin Ridley stepped in and everyone thought he was just going to be the guy who just slid over and took over for Julio Jones. And then he just couldn't keep his head out of a betting app. And the whole world forgot about him and he got set to football purgatory.
He was ahead of his time.
He was ahead of his time. And COVID and all the things. And then he got sent to football purgatory twice with quarterback hell, coordinator hell, roster churn. Calvin Ridley,
there's some Red Cross in the membrane going on too. Might be it's tough out there. The world's a struggle for a lot of people.
Calvin Ridley is one of those dudes where at his best, he has always been the best wide receiver 2, alpha wide receiver 2, who could easily be George Pickens slotting in for CeeDee Lamb. When young Calvin Ridley was opposite Julio Jones, you were like, well, if Julio needs a blow, Calvin Ridley can go, and we don't miss a beat. And then everyone just forgets because he was injured the next year, the gambling thing, football purgatory. But he also got old fast because he was one of those 24-year-old rookies. And when you talk about his contract and when you talk about his age, but dude, here's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't honestly give a fuck. I don't care who you like, and I don't care where your line in the sand is. If this is who I like for day 6 or round 6, 7, if this is who I like round 3, 4, 5, if this is where I'm willing to go all the way to a 2, and if this is what I would give a 1 for, and Muth, wherever your line in the sand is, I don't care. Unless they're going to unleash Roman Wilson season and just find out, let him fall down. I would rather have them play Roman Wilson and let him trip over his untied shoelaces than do nothing in this situation. So assuming they're going to do anything, tell me what you want. You want a small speed guy to go opposite DK4 or not DK4? That is D4K and DK4. I gave him Dak Prescott's nickname, even though he probably doesn't want it. But the little guy, Shaheed, or the slithery guy, Olave, or the slithery guy who costs more but who has a better pedigree and no freaking CTE, Waddle, or the ultimate pro, Meyers, who maybe doesn't have that ultimate go, or someone like Ridley, who's all those things, but he's a little bit old. Also, go pay for Garrett Wilson. Also, tell me something we're not thinking about. Bring it to us and let's unpack it together in the comments, on the show, on Twitter, whatever the case may be. Something has to change. You cannot go forward with and 5 yards per catch, barely more than your running game is averaging per carry. Jonnu Smith's numbers look like a backup running backs. Roman Wilson, they won't let him on the field. Something has to change. Tell me what it is. I'll listen to any of it.
I mean, to what Aaron Rodgers was talking about right there, an amazing run game would get them in cover 1 or cover 3. You know, now you're dealing with a single high safety. Now your boundary throws are a lot easier to do. And maybe the big plays are happening. But, you know, that has got to be predicated on a continuation of what we saw in Dublin. You know, is Kenneth Gainwell going to go out there and along with Warren and give you 4.5 to 5 yards an attempt and be moving the chains on the ground enough to get that safety into the box? If you don't do that, you know, then your only answer is to go get an amazing wide receiver, not just a good one, right? I think at that point, maybe Jacoby Meyers is borderline good enough. Shaheed definitely not good enough. Leggett definitely not good enough, because what you need to do then is create the dynamic that Joe Burrow has in Cincinnati, where, okay, we can't run. You're going to sit in cover 2. We got 2-1s coming at you. Have fun with that. Can't double them both. Now the running game is going to get off no matter who you're handing the ball to and no matter who's blocking. It's worked wonders for the Cowboys offense. But, you know, both those situations, I think with Zach Taylor and with Clayton Adams, you're dealing with OCs better than Arthur Smith. So, you know, I know neither one of us is a big fan of this Steelers coaching staff. I think they do a good enough job that they could win a Super Bowl, but there's opportunities out there, I think, being left on both sides of the ball.
So you keep in this episode alone, and over the course of us doing this in its entirety, the two beater, non-traditional 2, Tampa 2, cover 2. Where's Pat Freiermuth?
Okay.
It took them, what I'm saying is it took them till week 4.
I was about to go to this slide right here.
Yeah.
Should they trade him?
It took them till week 4 to put DK in the slot. And this dude who they paid to be the number 8, like they paid 88 to be the number 8 tight end, still in the league. Like, think about that. Like, it's been a couple years since that ink dried. He's still number 8 league wide.
They brought in Jonnu.
He can't get on the field for the
guys. Damn good players. They can't get the ball to him.
So when you talk about 2, and I think this is the thing that is disrespectful to fans, is everybody knows that the holes in 2 are the whole shots. And the question is, are you going to take them on the sidelines? What is Aaron Rodgers most famous for? Back shoulder throw. Or are you going to take them, and I like to call them scud seams, scud missiles? Are you going to put 88 like Ben used to do? He was fearless. Ben Roethlisberger put him on a stick nod, stick it between the 2 8s. And, I mean, look, Freiermuth does have a concussion history. He does not care. He will put his body in harm's way. He is also not Chris Olave. I think it's like 3 total, and he hasn't had one in a couple years. And then you go, oh, okay, he's not making dynamic plays. Put him in the slot and let him get loose. The game is being officiated so differently these days that dudes are almost afraid to go face mask to face mask, let alone ear hole to ear hole. And he's 6'6". Let him go up and get it. Like, we talk about Mount Washington. Obviously, Darnell Washington is playing at 300 plus pounds. I don't care what anybody else says. And Pat Freiermuth is a much thinner dude. We're not talking about asking him to play 12 and 13. And oh, by the way, I will re-dig up that clip where he ear holes Ryan Spillane. If anybody doesn't think that Pat Freiermuth isn't a willing blocker, he is. But at the point of attack, let's all just agree he ain't the same dude as 80. And that's fine. Then don't ask him to do those things, because here's why. You're basically not asking Jonnu to do anything.
Yeah, but catch screens. It's really wild. I think how this offense has, been drawn up and is been unable to take advantage of two of the best tight ends, two of the best pass catching tight ends in the entire game. And Jonnu was sold to us when the trade happened that, oh yeah, you're getting Ramsey, but this might be the steal of the trade, or this player might end up actually being more impactful towards winning. And to me, if I'm Omar Khan, I need to go talk to my ownership about, hey, we're giving these coaches the players. What the bleep is going on down there? Let's get a new OC in here. I mean, last year was an abject failure, I think, offensively from a schematic standpoint, but you could almost justify it because you said, well, you have a washed-up quarterback and a quarterback that doesn't process well, so it's neutered. Now you got Aaron Rodgers, and I don't like the explanation.
If Jonnu Smith finishes the year with a lower yards per reception than the Steelers running backs average per carry, I will literally wear my Minka Fitzpatrick jersey for every fucking podcast we do.
I love it. Okay, we're back soon. The Noll Road brought to you by Bet Online. We're gonna, get you a Sunday show. Really dig into this matchup. We got to talk about the 6 offensive linemen in Mount Washington and what all the trade-offs are there. Obviously, the injury report and hoping guys can get healthy before big divisional game, a game they should win and they're favored by. Again, Bet Online, the best place to make your wagers. For New Bear, I'm Dawson. We'll see you next time on the Noll Road.